What are your thoughts on it in Arizona?
Well, there's no way to know for sure, but you're right. There's less than 17,000 vote difference in Arizona, and there's still about 80,000 ballots to count. And they've been breaking the way for Donald Trump. And that's because this election was different than past elections. That's why the early call for Biden for Arizona was totally premature. And, we had Democrats show up at doing the mail-in ballots early this time. Usually it's Republicans, and a lot of Republicans showed up either at the polling place or dropped off their mail-in ballot on election day, and those are still being counted.
Another thing that there's allegations of is this voter fraud, specifically dead people voting, Congresswoman, out-of-state voters as well. Do you believe in your state, Arizona, that there possibly was fraud and that it could lead to a lawsuit if the president is not declared a winner in your state?
Yeah, the Trump campaign already filed a lawsuit in Arizona, and it has to do with we have people that have affidavits saying that the poll workers pushed the green button or told them to push the green button on the voting machine. And what happened on election day is people would put in their ballot in the machine, and there was an indicator that said, oh, there's a problem with your ballot. You may have overcounted. And what's supposed to happen is the election workers are supposed to say, oh, do you want to correct your ballot? There's even a red button and a green button. The red button you push if you want to correct the ballot and be given the chance. Well, a whole bunch of, I guess, thousands of people have testified that the poll worker just pushed the green button or told them, oh, go ahead. Well, then their votes weren't counted. So this is still ongoing. And you know that if the tables were turned, that Biden would be doing the same darn thing that Trump is doing, because it's not over yet. There's a lot of legal questions in multiple states, and this is serious stuff. And half of America voted for President Trump. It needs to be played out, finish the counting, and then played out in the courts, and we'll see who wins in the end.
Congresswoman, I wonder how you remedy that. Listening to that, if these poll workers indeed got involved, how would you know how many of them got involved? How could you remedy a situation like that? Is this all happening in the courts?
Well, what the lawsuit is asking for is for people to manually look at the ballots, just like they did if the ballots were mailed in. There was people actually manually looking at the ballots to see if there was overcount to try to correct it. But that didn't happen if you voted on election day. And so that's what the lawsuit is asking for. Let's manually look at these just like you did with mail-in ballots.
Interesting. All right. I want to ask you about this, and you kind of touched on this one. This switch, literally someone flipped a switch here for Fox News. And I'll show you this. A wild scene Wednesday night. This is outside of Maricopa County at the Board of Elections in Arizona. Watch this.
A very boisterous crowd. You'll start here and then start up here. And they're actually chanting, Fox News sucks. Fox News.
Yeah, protesters there chanting Fox News sucks after the network called the race there in Arizona for Biden so preemptively. What are your thoughts on that, the network doing this? I personally have been getting texts from around the country saying so many more people are watching Newsmax now because of what Fox did. Have you heard anything? Is Arizona watching our coverage here on Newsmax as well?
They certainly are. And, Fox News, it was just premature. We'll see what happens in the end, but it was definitely premature to call that on election night. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of ballots left to be counted. The other thing that Fox News flashed on the screen on election night was that Democrats were going to take more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Well, the opposite was true. I mean, we've gained, I think we're going to have 210 or more Republican seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. So there's two ways that they were totally, I believe, in that case, it was totally wrong, but they were totally premature on calling Biden for Arizona.
Congresswoman, last question for you, or last statement, if you will. Do you want to say, what would you say right now to President Trump?
Oh, keep up the fight. I mean, this isn't over till it's over. And President Trump is a fighter, and he has legal teams on the ground here in Arizona and in the other states. And there's some legitimate concerns about what happened. And, you know, I lived through impeachment. And so I see what the Democrats do to try to undermine President Trump for 4 years. You had bad FBI actors, the whole thing. Remember when President Trump in 2016 said he was being spied on and all the media laughed at him? Guess what? He was right. And so he may be right again this time. So keep up the fight.
All right, Congresswoman, good to see you. Debbie Lesko, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.